Welcome back to Beyond the Manual. This is going to be part 2 of some unknown number, but definitely part 2 of our engine assembly. We are going to tackle, well, I really don't have a plan, but let's say we still have lifters, lifter trays, valley cover heads, head gaskets, all that stuff. So we'll run through all that in that video. I'll bring you in where I think it might get interesting or where just I have an opinion on something. All right. Gloves, putting on Harbor Freight specials. So these are what I'm running. This is a GM 125-95-365 lifter tray. It's the GM standard lifter tray. It is what's recommended pretty much. It's kind of that one thing that GM gets right if you're not going to run some type of linked bar lifter. I do have my first set in here. They just took them all the oil, put them into the lifter tray assembly. Now, I know a lot of people have a different opinion on this. I am running all the lifter oiling holes facing the front of the block. I'm sure everyone has an opinion on that. I'm just doing it because I am looking at the oil pathways on this LS engine. Looks like that oil does come from the front, so it should kind of be that path of least resistance, kind of hit, make it more easy for that oil to get where it is going. That's kind of my thought. Again, just because I know I'm not running this engine right away, I am just going to go through, not a ton, but I am just going to get some assembly lube in here. Again, probably overkill, but that's fine. It's going to get it on the lifters a little bit in that bearing. Hopefully makes for a smooth break-in. So I have all those positioned correctly in the lifters. They're not, or the lifter bores, they're not pushed in, past the stop or the neck. So let's go take a look at the block here. So one thing I am going to do is try to get a little assembly lube as well into the lifter journals. Again, just for good measure here. Everything's pretty clean. So I'll probably grab one of my push rods I have and a towel and clean those out, get some assembly lube on them. And I'll bring you back when we start throwing in some lifters. So my thought is here, I'm going to take one of my push rods, just throw a little bit of the assembly lube on the end. Once I have them screwed in, as you saw I started to do, I'm like, I'm going to bolt them in first. And then we'll push all those down, make sure they make good contact with the cam, and that none of the orientations change. And then we'll I'll move on from there. All right, so I just thought of something here. So we don't have to guess. I know there's a process. Yes, you can. Well, let me back up. We know we have to eventually measure for push rod length. Just because I've heard that the base circle of the red hot cams are a little smaller than stock, but we're running LS7 lifters, and I've heard those are of a little higher cup, and we're running AC Delco GM style MLS head gaskets. So we know we're going to have to check. So we might as well at least just get one of these on the base circle, since, well, we can see in there. I don't really see why we can't do that at this point. As soon as the head gaskets are on, it's going to kind of be the next thing probably that we do before we put the valley cover on. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this so it's sitting, crank this over so it's sitting on a base circle, and go from there. All right. So this is actually another good opportunity to show you when you look at a lot of the processes, right, for on an LS, measuring your push rod length. A lot of them will say, well, put a push rod in your exhaust valve, and when you start seeing it go down, that's how you know your intake valve is on the base circle. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that show that, but let's actually show you what that looks like. So right now I have rotated this. So how do I get in there? I'm gonna shine some light on your world. So you can see maybe this one. Let's see, right there, that one is, I don't know if you can see the lifter, but it's just coming off, the lifter is just coming off the top. So that would mean that that one, as you can see, maybe is now on the base circle. So it's just kind of it's a nice representative shot of that with the valley cover off. Oh boy, if you remember from the last video, we stopped at the front timing cover because, well, someone forgot to order an alignment tool. But open box, impromptu open boxing here from Summit. Once again, no stickers in the catalog. Shocker. Let's get that off. Side. Here we go. This is a Summit 900336 LS timing cover alignment tool. I don't think there's anything super fancy, but looks like it's a fairly nicely tooled tool. It's a tool. Maybe I'm a tool, but we'll get that O-ring oiled up, get this on, and we will let's go and take care of that front timing cover and get that finished up. Perfect. All right, roll again. Oh, that is oily. Can't imagine why. Grab some gloves again. Cheap enough, might as well wear them. Well, you don't get stuff dirty inside the house later. Or wipe it on the dog. Oops. There, let's get that nut off here. Bolt nut, crank nut. This is an ARP crank bolt. It's pretty darn beefy. This one happens to take a 27 millimeter. At least that's what I have on it. Okay. Aha. So once again, GM got me. This timing cover already has the front seal pressed in. Now I don't feel like potentially wrecking that, getting it out. So I think I'm going to do is get this loosely installed, and then I guess jump a little bit to assembling, or at least installing the harmonic balancer, so I can use the harmonic balancer to make sure this is aligned on that. And then again, with the oil pan substitute stand-in bracket down there, we can suck this down. It'll be centered on the harmonic balancer already, and then we'll torque this down to the block. Another piece that I got to help in this whole endeavor, stay. Oh, see. All right, there we go. Is I will have to try to find where I bought these tools, but I do have well, I have a harmonic balancer install tool. But this other piece is to hold the crank, and specifically it's meant so you can slide it in, whoop, and then it's got a long enough handle so it'll catch one of these bars on the engine stand and then hold it in place for you while you press in your harmonic balancer. So let me get some things ready and bring you back when we're that far. So we got our front cover that's loose. I could wiggle this back and forth, up and down a little bit. That's why we kind of have to do the next step. I could go and order another tool that I can slide in there. That's the same diameter of that, but I'm sick of waiting. I want to get this done. So a little bit of prep work. I clean the outside surface, a little very light assembly lube on the outside. Inside, just the ever faintest layer of, in this case I'm using Laco Easy Brake Antiseize. And what tool do I have? I have a harmonic balancer installation tool, made in China. I don't really plan on using it a whole lot. Hopefully it does it one time. But I believe this is an Amazon tool. I will find the link, put that in the video. But not too dissimilar. I liked this one online because it kind of had a bearing on the end of it, which I thought was nice. I'm sure a lot of the new ones do, but it's like a little anti-seize on the end of the threads. We'll try to make sure we get that at least, looks like 3/4 of an inch in there. So we have some good threads to pull on, and we'll get that lined up and get this going. Look, so I know this is stupid, and I could have bought a nicer tool that was longer, but I'm making it work. And I wanted to show you we're getting it sucked on here, and as we get close to the wide part of that harmonic balancer entering the seal, I'm going to be kind of shifting this around a little bit, jiggling it around, making sure that it seats nice and concentrically around the harmonic balancer, and we're just going to keep driving this home. There we have it. That's kind of what it looks like when it's all the way on. We will give our cover one more shake, make sure we're seated all the way down on our oil pan stand-in, and we'll get our ARP bolt prepped, get that in there, and then I'll see what kind of time I have left. Again, this will probably be shot over the course of a couple days, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Every video looks more and more like an engine. Okay, so if you've never used ARP hardware before, most of the times they're very good about either including it on the packaging itself or including you an info sheet, which we have here. So this is what we've done. To break that down, we've put the ARP Ultra Lube on the head, around that washer face. We will get it put on the threads, and then we also did the face where it butts up against inside the harmonic balancer itself. This will go in hand tight and then get torqued to 235 foot-pounds. This does not have to be degreed. It's just a straight 235 foot-pounds. We'll install our stop tool on the end of the crank to help us hold it in place. And, well, we'll get out the big torque wrench. Okay, so we have the bolt in, hand tight. This is the AC Delco, the big one. I think this is good to, I'd have to look. A lot of feet, a lot of torque. It's good for a lot of torque. This one programs much the same way here, but I do got to get batteries. I need to run around the house in the shop, find some AA's for that. Then we can torque that down. Off camera, I'm just going to go ahead and install that tool. I will show that when we pick up again. All right, we are winning. Got AA batteries. I got this all set, ready. This is what that looks like. I just threw in some of my, I didn't really crank them down. You don't have to. I just have it tight enough to make sure those bolts are sitting on the shoulder of this tool. And you can see here, as soon as I start tightening it, it's going to spin the crank. Very likely at some point that's going to hit this. That'll stop the crank from spinning and allow me to continue to torque that down. Did make sure all these were tight, so nothing happens there. Good luck, Godspeed. This is not a snap-on engine stand, if that's not obvious. This is a Harbor Freight one that I bought used that someone thought would be funny to put a snap-on sticker on. So good luck, little engine stand. Please hang in there. Actually, almost half tempted just to put that back on as a safety, but let's risk it. We'll see what happens. Okay, here comes 235 foot-pounds. That was 235 foot-pounds. I did have to put this, well, I started with the extension when I hit the torque the first time, but just to make sure, I actually did try to just put the socket on the end, and I had just enough clearance without hitting the side of the Harmonic Balancer. And then we checked it again. In fact, I will probably check this one more time for my own peace of mind. And then we'll walk away and pretend everything is just fine. Good luck, little buddy. Okay, now that all that is done, really just get this centered. I will go in and put the bottom bolts in this. Just to make sure this pan is sucked all the way down. These just simulate, again, bolting oil pan here just to make sure we have a nice flush bottom. I'm just gonna not hand tight, just gonna loosely set these for now. Hand tighten all those, and then I'll come back and tighten these down a little bit more. And finally, I will get the front timing cover bolts all torqued to spec. There it is. Oh, we're missing something. We forgot an important step. Let's see here. We did actually check this like 3 times. So 3 times. I put a dot for every time I check torque on something. So obviously silver on silver is a good, so I said a yellow Sharpie, made a cross pattern in the bolts there. So that is all torqued down, 18 foot-pounds. 235 foot-pounds on this guy. Remember, we use the Ultra Lube on the back side of the bolt, the back side of the washer, the face, and then the threads on this Harmonic Balancer. And yeah, I think we'll probably reposition again, make sure we have at least because it's easy. I don't know, why not? Make sure on the our first intake lifter is on the base circle, because like I said, we're going to measure those push rods, and that'll just make it easier. I already checked all these, and they are all in. They're not going to fall out on us. Seen horror stories. So next up, we're going to get probably get the cylinder bores wiped down again. and clean off the mating surface and start getting the head gaskets and heads on this thing. Yes, it's getting real now. So here we're back at the block. I just wanted to kind of show this process. What we're looking for here, or what we're measuring, is total piston out of the block, or it could be in the block, but really what this equates to is piston to valve clearance. So this is a Harbor Freight special, although I've been pretty happy with it for what you pay for. It comes with a nice magnetic base. I like the adjustability. Things are easy to tighten. The dial is pretty smooth. The plunger is nice and smooth. So here you can see on the block, on the deck, I have it basically zeroed out here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to carefully one-handed, I'm going to move this now across to the surface of the piston. And here's the reason we're doing this. One, I guess it's good to know, right? But as I mentioned in a previous video, this is a Gen 4 block with a Gen 3 crank and Gen 4 rods, right? And it's kind of this, you can't really take anything at face value. And we want to make sure that our total quench, our total clearance, is within the safe range. So now that we have this set up, I'm going to get a breaker bar here on the crank, and we are going to try to get this thing turned until it just stops. So right about there, back, forth, back. So that's about as close as we can get to total top dead center out of the block. And as you can see, we are out of the block, to be expected. And we are about 8 thousandths. I've done this a couple times. 8 thousandths out of the block is where we are on here. So we know we have stock 823 heads that have not been surfaced. For sure. I don't know if the surface of the block has had any work done to it. I know the heads have not. So knowing that, we are going to run GM AC Delco multi-layer steel head gaskets, which have a, well, one I already measured. I know the bore is right for our 30 over. But these have a 51 thousandths thickness. So if you do the math, that puts us total clearance between that, what would it be? Between the 40 and 48 thousandths-ish range of safe clearance. So that's good. These ProForge pistons do have the valve reliefs cut in them. So all in all, I think we're set there. Next step that we have going for us here is to make sure this is all cleaned up really well. Probably rotate the crank again, clean out the cylinder, wipe down the cylinders one more time. And then we'll move on to head gaskets and heads and get that all torqued down with our ARP hardware. And I think we've double checked at this juncture all the clearances we can on this block. So pretty happy with all of that. Everything's within range. It looks safe. Should all lead to a good initial fire up here in a couple months. All right, I've decided that the next step here for me on this engine is we're going to get the oil pan sealing surface cleaned up. We're going to fit and test clearance on our Holley oil pan, and I'll have to get the model number of the one I chose. I believe it was the thinnest one. I believe it's the Holley, the -3 oil pan. I wanted to make sure that it was still good for the stroke that we have and gave us the most clearance to our UMI K member. So we'll hopefully that all will fit well in the car. If not, we'll be taking it off and finding another option. But again, like I said, this was an assembled short block when I got it, and you can see all of its torque marks. Nice ARP hardware. Pretty happy with all of that. I do have my knock sensors in here. I don't know if this is how I'll have the final positioning. Did I order this already? I believe I did. I ordered a harness for this already, and we'll explain that in another video. But basically, because this is a 24, that's the Holley harness I got. It only has a single dual channel plug. So I bought an adapter that'll take that 2-channel, split it into 2 separate plugs. So it's basically got a pigtail ground that we'll have to ground on the block somewhere. We'll figure that out when the time comes. Not a big deal, but I'm going to go through, just kind of clean this up, do a final inspection, test fit our pickup tube. I also got, what did I pick up here? This guy, again, from Improved Racing. Again, I like it. It's made in the USA, design here. But this is an extra bracket, if you will, support to help hold that oil pickup tube in place. It gives it another point, so that way, I mean, it really has no chance of ever falling out of there and starving your engine oil. It was cheap insurance, so we're gonna go and fit that and make sure it's all kosher. And then we'll do, I guess we'll start getting the windage tray figured out and all that. So let's get the bottom end covered up. That would be neat. So this is what the kit is. This is the 302-3. As I said, that gives us, supposed to give us the most clearance. And this is the bag of hardware that came with it. Warranty card. What do we got here? This is just limited warranty, cancer in California, noted. But these were also in this kit from Holley, so some genuine GM hardware here. This looks like block off kit, gasket. Oh, another one. What is this? It's a thing. Some type of, I don't know, I gotta figure out what that is. That's a fitting for an additional oil passage back into the pan. I'll have to let you know on that. Then we got some plugs, an O-ring, try to keep that guy clean, and some miscellaneous hardware, which I assume some of it for the oil pickup tube, windage tray, maybe some other hardware. We'll take a look, because I'm sure it'll say in here what all that's for. All right, so I'm gonna bring you back in here. Here's the windage tray that I'm using. It came with the engine. It's just, I think this is what Holley would consider their full-length windage tray. It ends in 1129. And if we look at their directions, there is a tray that they have maybe some known or lesser clearancing that needs to be done. But we're right here. We are in the full-length windage tray. And you can see the part that it wants us to remove, which, I mean, isn't terrible. I'm as good with a death wheel as the next guy. But let me show you why that is. Let's see. Here's our oil pan. Like I said, super tight clearance top. Let's just get this placed on here ever so gently, because I really would hate. Oh, geez, I said carefully. Okay, so sitting on there, you can see in the back, no problem. But this is why we have clearancing of the windage tray, because, well, it touches the windage tray, you see. So we got to take care of that. All right. So after a little bit of artwork with a Sharpie, this is what I came up with. I do not like that Holley gave you the diagram inverted. To me, I'd want to trace it out as the windage tray sits on the block. But this is kind of, you know, held it up to the light and looked through the sheets, and this is kind of the pattern I came up with. Kind of skirts that one, comes back down, and then this one actually comes straight across there. Ho-hum. I'm actually thinking about maybe I will try this first with maybe extending this one down. Would be nice to have maybe that extra bit of support here yet. So I will probably cut this first straight across, fit it, and if it fits, well then I think I'd be more happy with that. So that's what we're gonna start cutting out with. And straight, that'll be our first cut. And that's kind of similar-ish to what they're showing here. Like I said, this is inverted. It threw me for a minute. My brain isn't making connections as fast this morning. But that's what we're gonna go. I'll go get the death wheel, cut this out, and I guess we'll deburr it a little bit to make sure nothing inadvertently falls in there, and come back and we'll take a look at what it looks like. Okay. So, yep, I understand. People sell things to hold that the right way, but arguably so does my vise. I don't crush the battery in there, but it's got enough friction to hold my saw the right way. And then, you know, safety third, I have a piece of Velcro that I used permanently, temporarily engage the trigger. And at least I got, you know, I don't have to cut as much with the death wheel now. That makes my heart smile. So that I'm not going to film because, well, I'm going to do it outside. It's cold outside. I don't want to take the time to set up the camera. Everyone's seen people cut fingers off with a death wheel, so that's fine. I'll be back in a minute. So I'm back in from the cold out there. This is our first shape. Now you can kind of see, well, I kind of chose to go this route. At least to try it, see if I can get that extra support there and there just for some clamping power, so it's not just, I don't know, that part's not just floating in free air. Maybe it doesn't matter. We'll try it. Leave as much material in as you can, maybe. But so that's what it looks like. Hopefully now, as you can see, that's why I think this kit is only good for a, what is the stroke on this kit? Oh yeah, may not be used on LS7 engines or with a stroke greater than 4 inches. And you'll see if I can get my camera in there why that is, because it is close. But it will give us, hopefully, plenty of clearance with our UMIK member and everything. So let's go ahead and we'll get the oil pan over, test fit this again, see what we're dealing with. All right, okay. Well, what do we got? Actually, you know what? That looks like pretty darn good. I would argue, I know there's some alignment, like just for the bell housing and everything to fit that this pan can't protrude past the back of the block, and we will take care of all that. But I think this is a good enough. We're all the way seated. I think we'll run a few bolts and spin the crank over, make sure we don't hear anything hitting. And I think we might have, yeah, a properly modified windage tray for this. I haven't decided what to do here yet, if I'm going to block these off or what I'm going to do for oil pressure yet. My plan is to run the, spoiler alert, the low dollar, I think that's what it's called, low dollar. They apparently integrate really nice with the Holley stuff, use the same reference, which we'll talk about all that when it comes time for computer stuff. But pretty happy with where this pan's coming out. We'll see what's next here. I'll grab maybe some bolts, figure all that out. Yeah, I know. I don't have the gasket in. People are being like, oh, you can't check clearance out the oil gasket. Yep, you're right. But if it clearances here without it, it will certainly clearance with it. So I'll go grab some bolts and some tools, and we'll go take a look at clearance. All right, so after fitting the oil pan, I did notice that it seemed it was hitting somewhere, probably back here is my guess, where this wasn't sitting down all the way. So I guess per the instructions, like, it's weird that they know what they're maybe doing. right, so it's really early in the morning or late at night. I don't know. But now you can see that I have that cutaway more like the directions recommended. You can kind of see what that looks like down there now. This does sit a little further down. Although I might call Holley and ask what their recommended distance between the pickup and pan is and put a little bit of clay on there, push the pan down, and just check that out. It's at this stage, it's worth it. I do have, a bit of room yet, maybe to bend on this tube some if I absolutely had to. I don't want to put too much pressure on the oil pump, but hopefully that is the case. We'll get some clay up here, press it down, take a measurement, ask what Holley recommends. It is not in the manual or anything, and I would really like to make sure I don't starve this engine. So we'll give them a call tomorrow in the morning and see what they say. All right, I wanted to get the windage tray here, or no, not windage tray, baffle, installed here. Before I forget, I know people are like, oh my God, red Loctite. But let me tell you, or let me propose this. Is this really a piece you want potentially ever coming loose and flopping around inside the bottom end of your engine? I mean, when do you ever really see taking this out? I'm just asking. Like, I'll probably never take this out. If I really need to clean it, I can probably get in there with enough cans of brake clean. So we're giving all these a healthy dose of red Loctite because that's just what I'm doing. Right, wrong, or indifferent. So I'm gonna get these torqued down, get that one back in its spot. But these are 8 to 10 foot-pounds, which makes sense because it's cast aluminum. So we'll get that torqued down, and we'll go over and get test fit and do the oil pickups tube and screen and bolt all that down and test that. All right, so we can all hear together. I'm just going to balance this here on the oil panel. Let's take a listen. Okay. Well, I don't know if you heard that. Exactly. There's nothing, no grinding, no hitting, no metal on metal noises. So I think we're good. It just dawned on me too, I gotta actually go get a set of oil pan bolts. Silly me. For $500,000, you think Holley would just include you a set of hardware. Nope. So I will have to go online, Amazon, up an ARP set, mostly just because ARP has an Amazon site, so you know they're legit. And then you get the shipping through Amazon, so it's significantly faster a lot of times. So if you ever run into a builder, you're up against a deadline for whatever reason, something to consider. Although on Amazon, you always want to make sure that you are checking if you're going for non-fake parts, original manufacturer's parts. Always go to their, in this case, ARP site on Amazon in this example, and just compare the part numbers, make sure it's legit. All right, I'll go do some Googling for the parts I need, but this is a good sign. Next, we'll have to get this off, get the oil pickup tube, find that in the hardware, and make sure all that fits yet, but pretty happy so far. That's where we're gonna leave off for this part of the video. This is part 2 of a yet to be determined number of videos in a series. But just to kind of recap where we've been here, as soon as we have hardware for the oil pan, we can go ahead, come back and put that in. Then we can move on to the rest of the engine assembly. That'll be in part 3 of this series. And some people like these types of series, some don't. by all means, feel free to leave some constructive criticism in the comments, and I definitely read them all and try to reply to as many as I can. Much appreciate that. So, with that being said, I don't know if it's really early or really late anymore. I can't. Time is just an illusion at this point. But thanks for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe. And we'll see you for part 3 on Beyond the Manual.